So if you can help me and everyone kind of walk us through, and it's personal, so only what you're comfortable with, but you had $2 million. I assume that was a lot of your net worth at the time. And you have a home, but you're putting it in the market. And 6 months into it, you find me, you're up a bit of money. Walk us through like how you got to the next level. What was the next level? Was it just because the market went up? Did you know when to sell? Did you sell?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
How did you kind of go from being successful because of the market to keeping that money and then taking it to the next level?
Yeah. So the next level, and this is just true, I've said it on other podcasts and other people, really became when you guys started your room. Because up until then, I'm following people, but really no one's account. I have no one to hold account. Not that I hold you accountable, but I had no one that I knew was going to be there for me if
rebound ideas
goes down 10% in a day and I didn't sell it, and what should I do here? So at the time, I was really, up until you guys started Inner Circle, it was all cute and great, but I never thought that I was going to keep doing it after COVID ended. I thought, I was gambling during COVID and I was up a bunch and I was, trying to manage my risk, but it just felt like a kind of a cute thing that I was doing that was great and I was making money. But once you guys started your group, you might not remember this, but I certainly was, if not the first, one of the first, 5 or 10 people to send the full deposit. I was like, I'm in, this is amazing. Like, let's do it. And that's when I realized that, with the morning call and everything else, that I was really set up to maybe, I had all this money. I don't know if I had doubled my money at the time, most of it on your ideas like LRN or PIC or whatever came even before you started your room. But I had run up a bunch of money and I wasn't sure what to do with it. But once you started your room, I knew that I had, you guys to kind of help guide me and manage. And it hasn't been all perfect all the way through. I at the beginning, I think right when you started the room, the market got a little funky.
Yeah, that October was very messy.
Yeah,
October was a rough month.
All right, and honestly, I definitely lost in October, but if I didn't have the room, I probably would have lost a lot more. I don't really know.
So I have a question while we're on this. What would your biggest win? It may have had nothing to do with me in the stock market. What would you say your biggest win was as a cute trade? Maybe your best swing, and why they happened?
I need to look back at this better, but I'm pretty sure it was PIC.
I'm pretty sure it was too. That might have been why I asked it.
I actually don't even know what the number is. But what made that one really good was I also had I really got big in that one because I had also followed you in other ones, and this one felt like the next one. I was buying it at 10. For a while, I was even scalping it. I just 10 was the floor, and I would sell 25% at 10.90, and then it would come back to 10, and I would just build a position that way. I must have had 50,000 shares at least, and
we went to 30. So
I went to 30. Yeah.
So
I sold some before it hit 30. But.
It's hot in here, so that's why I'm touching it. So I have a question, right, that I want to go over that I think will help everyone. So I've seen you up several $100,000 on a position, and you have an amazing talent not to get too excited and not to just sell, which is part of your talent. Also on the downside to be the same, but can you kind of walk me through? So like Excel, VTIQ, I know you followed me on a lot of these names, or an Amazon, any of these names, when you're up such dollars and cents, what kept you from just hitting sell and being like, oh my God, I got to take my money and run? Because that's one of your best talents.
Yeah, I think it comes from the poker background where I keep looking at things. A big thing in poker is if you make a mistake and you carry that mistake onto your next hand and your next hand, then you're going to ruin your day. So poker is always, hand to hand, decision to decision is all different. It doesn't matter that you screwed up the last hand. You have to play this hand correctly. So with pick or with stocks that are winners, as long as there's still a bullish case, and as long as you still like it, or as long as someone in the room who I really respect has a case for still liking it. I don't think about the money that I'm up in the name as much as I think about the risk reward and the the expected value from the moment that we're in.
Because these are some of your greatest talents that I wanted to get into. So first off, does that mean when you're up 50, 100, 200 grand on a particular trade idea? I remember watching you on GME, which I almost said, I can't do this. One day, I literally remember you saying you're up almost $500,000. I don't want to exaggerate. And I'm like, sell it. And you're like, well, I sold most, but I'm keeping some. So does it mean you're not looking at your P&L? Because you're doing it right, in my opinion. But how are you figuring out a way to sell some and stay calm? And why we're here, does that come from poker? Like, is there just, do you smoke a lot of weed to keep you chill? What makes you be able to take a deep breath and think without just, too many traders lose money and they want to buy more because they're down. Too many traders make money and they want to sell it right away. Like, how do you figure out how to keep winners, sell losers? Where does all this come from?
I think it really just comes from poker. And in poker, and maybe it's a chicken and egg thing. Maybe I was good at poker because I have this skill already. But in poker, you treat your money as chips. You treat your chips as chips, not as money. So if you have chips, if you have 50,000 in front of you, you can't think of it as $50,000 because
you've never told me this.
Yeah,
this is cool to learn. Okay.
Yeah, so then if the right play is to bluff $30,000 and stare and sit there and have this intimidating professional player across from you stare at you for the next 3 minutes, that's not a comfortable situation. The comfortable situation is say, hey, you know what? I'm just not going to bluff this 30,000. I don't really want to lose the 30,000. It's not that big a deal. I'll make money next hand or whatever. But the best poker players, and I'm not saying I'm the best because I'm not, but a successful poker player has to make that bet. They have to say, I don't care about the money. This is the right play. So it doesn't matter if it's 30,000 or if I'm sitting in a small stakes game and that's my bankroll, then it's $300.
So is that literally the equivalent to when I say don't trade your P&L, just trade the stock?
Exactly. It's the exact same concept. Yeah. And it's a concept that I assume most people don't get right. But I don't know if
you got to take the emotion out of it, and that's the hard part for a lot of people.
Yeah, but one thing you taught me, and it took me a while. I was a little hard-headed with it, because at first I didn't totally believe the concept, or I don't know what was wrong, where my disconnect was. But there is something to be said about, and obviously I'm preaching to the choir here, there is something to be said about managing money. And even though you think the stock is going to go up, you still need to take profits along the way. And that's a little bit where poker and stock market differ. Because in poker, you really, for the most part, except in special tournament situations, you just do what's going to make the most money in the long run. You don't care about.
It's kind of all or none. You make that decision.
At least in the middle of the hand. The way you manage money in poker is by playing in the right games, in a game that's within your bankroll. But once you sit down at the table, you're supposed to just play the game. You're not supposed to worry about managing your money. Like, you manage your money by putting yourself in the right game and being a favorite in that game and being able to lose. Just like a lotto and stocks, if you sit down in a poker game, like, you need to know, I'm buying in for 40,000. I might lose this 40,000. I'm comfortable with that. I don't expect to, but if I lose it, that's part of my overall strategy, my bankroll management.
Right.
So in the stock market, what would happen to me is I would get in a position that I thought was probably was a positive expectation situation. but I wouldn't sell enough at certain times, and that just messes up the whole management of the trade, and that's something that I think I'm a lot better at now. But I guess even
Math almost matters there. In other words, you have to sell enough where you can withstand pullbacks, that it doesn't take too much of your profits away, it doesn't mentally get involved.
right. So yeah, so that's so honestly, I think part of my success in 2020 was I didn't really have that in my head. And I just,
You didn't need to. Good
yeah,
for you.
exactly. And in that market, that's a great strategy to not care about, selling really, Varu is another one where, went from 10 to 15 and I barely sold any, I just kept on riding it. And then like when you're like, I'm all out, I was like, okay, sell,